What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we need to take a look at a couple new Digimon cards. You see, ladies and gentlemen, we've had one more card from Starter Deck 7 and one more card from Starter Deck 8 that have gone and been revealed. So these are probably cards we should take a little bit of a look at. Gonna be perfectly honest with you here. You are going to see some similarities when we take a little bit of a look at these cards. A couple of days ago, I showed you GeoGreymon, and I have been told that I have been pronouncing it wrong, as I expected I was. It is GeoGreymon. Thank you for the correction. And I showed you Vmon, and they were very similar cards. They very much came as a pair. And we kind of expect this. It's not just with Digimon, it's with a bunch of games like this, where we have two starter decks releasing as a pair, and there are parallels and similarities between them. So, with that borne in mind, what do? Well, we'll start off with GeoGreymon, who is the red one. Not that it really makes much difference. We got a level 4 that is a 6 cost to play normally, 2 cost to Digivolve, 5,000 power. And I should give a shout out to DigimonCard.dev here. That is by far the best place to do research on the Digimon TCG. For a level 4, there's no way around it. This is expensive. 6 cost as a level 4 we've seen, but it's not exactly one that we're used to. I mean, you're looking at things like the level 4 Argamon, but then again, the level 4 Argamon is there for Digisorption. So fine, it's expensive to play normally, but you don't play Argamon. You evolve into Argamon, and even when you evolve into it, you use Digisorption, so you actually Digivolve for nothing. So, quite frankly, ladies and gentlemen, this one is a very expensive card. 2 cost to Digivolve is fine, but you're rarely going to want to actually Digivolve it. And 5,000 power for a level 4. It's on the higher end. We've seen more, but it's probably slightly above average. 4 or 5 is about what we expect. But you see, it is the skills, and shout out to the lovely folks over at Ensan Gaming for providing our translation. You see, what we've got here is a Security Digimon. At the end of the battle, play this card without paying its memory cost. Now, these are coming around for us. In Booster 1.5, we are getting the whole suite of them, so to speak. Things like Coredramon. And the thing is that the first bunch of security cards I basically told you were bad. And I stand by that, incidentally. I think they're bad cards. Because 5 cost, and they're all, we got one for each colour, but they're all exactly the same other than name, colour and artwork. In terms of functionality within the game, they are the same, just one for each colour. And a 5 cost to play normally isn't particularly cheap. 2 cost to Digivolve is standard, 4,000 power is about standard, maybe slightly on the lower end. So essentially what we end up with is a fairly poor stat-wise Digimon that is a security card. Now, the good news is, of course, that if it comes out as a security card, you play it without paying its memory cost, and that's clearly brilliant. But thinking about it logically, the maths on this is pretty easy. You've got 50 cards in your deck. You're putting out 5 security cards. So each one of them has basically a 10% chance of rocking up in your security cards. Now, to be fair, if you're playing 4 of them, then each of those 4 has a 10% chance of ending up in your security cards, but you're still under 50%. You should still expect in an average game that you won't have one of your 4 security cards in your security, as in Security Digimon, in your security cards. So, honestly, I was incredibly underwhelmed. But then in BT5, we got Shademon, and I called Shademon the best security card we'd seen. And that was for a very good reason. All of a sudden now, we had this security card which did something else. And the something else that it did is what made it so gosh darn good. Now, Shademon still wasn't particularly overwhelming stats-wise, but it was a blocker. And fine, it couldn't attack, but it was a blocker. So essentially what we've got here is, if it comes out as a security card, yay, free Digimon, and it's got blocker, that's awesome. If it doesn't come out as a security card, You've still got a 2-cost to Digivolve blocker, and okay, fine, there are better blockers, but all of a sudden we've got a really good reason to play this. And make no mistake about it, this is far more similar to Shademon than the original ones. Because there is another skill here, whereby when you play it, you destroy one Digimon with 4,000 power or less. Okay, that's alright. It's fine. I'm not sure it's good enough, though, if I'm honest with you. Because, you see, we've got other ways to deal this kind of stuff. I mean, GeoGreymon, the one from BT4, yeah, that's right, same dude. Digiburst 2, delete a Digimon with 4,000 power or less, but you can Digivolve up and get this skill. Or the Gatomon. If you got a purple Digimon, one of your opponent's Digimon loses 4,000 power until the end of the turn. I.e., you can just delete a Digimon with 4,000 power, but it actually does a little bit more. And Maikumon from BT4, a very similar thing going on here as well, but these are 5 costs to play, not 6. Now, I know 2 of these are yellow, but the other GeoGreymon is red. And essentially, this card sits in a weird place for me. Because I don't like its second skill here. Compared to a bunch of others, I think we've got better options. However, I do kind of like it because it's got that and security. So I suppose if you want to have a security Digimon in red, this is a pretty good option. No, the second skill isn't that great. I'd rather have it on GeoGreymon, but I think on balance it's a decent card. So let's give it between 3 and 4 Wassies. We don't give half Wassies. That would be barbaric. I don't think it's a stunning card. I think the skill is fine. But having that skill and being a security Digimon, despite the underwhelming stats, I do think gives it a little something something. But by far the better of the two in my eyes is Coredramon. Coredramon, of course, previously turned up in a starter deck, but it was the first red starter deck, and it was that blocker that loses 2 memory when it attacks, and there was a card like that in all 3 of the starter decks. So Coredramon is apparently a Digimon that comes around in starter decks with very similar versions in other colours. We don't need to talk about the stats, we've already talked about them, and it is a security Digimon, but we've talked about that quite a bit. Clearly this is going to be better than Coredramon here, because Coredramon is just a security Digimon. This is 1 more to play normally, and it has an extra 1,000 power, but when you play it, you draw 2 cards. And that's it, right? That is why we play this. I love this. This is absolutely brilliant. This is wonderful. This is drawing 2 cards. Drawing 2 cards is good. Of course, we do have a blue Digimon that will draw 2 cards when you play it. It is the Zudamon from BT1, which is a 7 cost to play normally. Now it's a level 5, not a level 4, so you're 1 step closer to your level 6s, you've got more power and all of that stuff. But looking purely at the play cost and drawing 2, this draws you 2 cards for 6 memory rather than 7, so it's better in that regard. One of the blue cards that we have seen see a huge amount of play up till now is, of course, Gabumon, that is a 3 cost level 3, that draws you 1 card. This is a 6 cost level 4 that draws you 2. It's very much like playing a double Gabumon. Something to bear in mind, of course, if you've got, say, 2 memory remaining, you cannot play 2 Gabumon. Playing 1 would put the turn over to your opponent, whereas here you could. I'm not entirely sure if you want to just draw 2 and put it to your opponent, but that's an option. And this is brilliant. This is great. Zudamon sees play. Gabumon sees play. I see absolutely no reason why this wouldn't see a bunch of play as well. I think this is absolutely awesome. And these are the only 3 cards really in blue that are giving you these when you play draw options. And we don't have a lot of when you play draw options. We've got some inheritable skills that let you draw cards. And we've got deletion skills on things like Cerberusmon. But there really aren't many play skills. There is, weirdly enough, a Labramon that when you play it, you draw one. It is basically purple's equivalent thereof. And then we've got that promo Pulsemon that when you play it will let you draw a card, though only if your security is 3 or more. I love that Pulsemon. But when you play draw, these aren't things we see very often. And it's a security card. And now I think we're there. Now I think we've got a genuinely awesome, brilliant, over-the-top, nuts-good card. Being a security card is fine, but I've already told you that in less than half of your games, if you're playing a 4-of, you would expect to see it. But now we've got a really nice card that draws 2, and I can't just look at it and say, oh, well, I'd rather have this card, because actually, if we're talking about drawing 2, if we're talking about level 4s, this is your best option. And it's a security card, and now we've got this beautiful thing where actually we're probably playing this for the draw, and it being a security card is a bonus, and that's what I want from my security cards. If it's kind of, or like we saw with GeoGreymon, well, being a security's all right, the other skill's all right, on balance I think it's decent, that's lovely. But if we've got a skill we want to play it for, and the security is a bonus, that is what I want for my security cards. I think this is a 5 Wassy card. This is a kind of card where it's probably going to be a 2-of in the starter deck because it's a bit good. And this is the kind of card for which people are going to buy the starter deck. This one is awesome. I'm excited. But I want to know how good you think it is, how excited you are. I want to know whatever you want to tell me, quite frankly. So let me know in the comment section, would you? Get us! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassy. That's where we talk Digimon and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. But by far, the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wassy Plays.